Don't pay a quarter, don't pay a dime, don't pay a penny, don't waste your time. If half a penny is all he asks, don't give him any. Lay off his tracks, my half a penny is what he'll say. Still a steep price, just walk away.
Good morning, nation, folks, forgets, and everything in between and beyond. My name is Roy, the host of Mahapneys and the host of the final, basically, recording of the regular season. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to record afterwards. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to record when the next season comes or for the draft. However, I wanted to give you kind of my final summary of how the season went, what I can recall, and how I felt throughout the season. And I'm going to just put it out there again. It doesn't matter to me what happens today. Do I want the team to make the playoffs? Well, according to Barry Jackson, if we don't make the playoffs, we have a better chance at the lottery, apparently, by a few percentage points, from 2 to 4 to 9. And I think we missed kind of on the opportunity of the 9%. I don't know. There's this whole conspiracy based on the fact that, well, the NBA didn't do good on the Rozier scandal. The NBA knew about it. The Charlotte Hornets knew about it. The Miami Heat did not pursue anything legally. Kind of maybe what their style is. I don't really understand that part so well. But there is a conspiracy theory out there that the main reason for that is that so the front office can give us basically a number one first round pick, or a top 5 first round pick, which according to many on the league's stratosphere or media sphere, or social media sphere rather, they say that the first 5 are kind of interchangeable in this draft, and I believe that we always draft higher than the actual position. So imagine the Heat with the first round pick or top 5. The season, or rather the preseason, started with us playing very mediocrely. We didn't have Hero at the time. Hero was injured throughout a good part of the season. That part of the season, the initial part of the season, was a good one. We played well. We scored a bunch. We're number 1 in points or around there. Number 1 in assists. Davion Mitchell displaying an enormous capacity and a great ratio between assists and turnovers. Bam Adebayo was indeed engaged. Normal Powell was playing the best basketball practically of his entire career as a cornerstone scorer. Then all of a sudden I started to believe. However, starting to believe after what had happened meant, look, what I'm seeing right now is completely different than what we were seeing before. We're winning good games. We're winning them well. We're winning them with a good margin of points. Our offense is clicking. The pace is there. And all of a sudden, we got figured out. I don't recall exactly when we got figured out. Raf does. Once we got figured out, things started to go badly. And then Hero comes back into the lineup. He is blamed for the performance of the team, even though in the beginning 7 games, I think we were 4-3, or in the beginning 5 games, we're 3-2, and then 3-3 before he had another injury, left the team for another while. I think he played only 32 games this season. Not sure if he's going to play tonight, this evening against Atlanta Hawks. But the entire idea was, well, this is a reinsertion. Things are going to be different. The reinserting Hero is definitely one of the issues. Hero is not the problem. He wasn't being hunted on defense when other players were attacking him on purpose because of his lack of ability to defend. And then the rest of the season kind of went by with Hero being injured again. We did not make any moves at the trade deadline. Now we know that we were actually very close to getting Giannis, but we did not. Not because of us, by the way, because the Bucks decided to keep Giannis after the trade deadline. They want to see if they can get better offers for him in the offseason. Obviously, the situation there seems untenable, but you never know whether they fire Doc Rivers and all of a sudden Giannis just wants to stay in Milwaukee. So obviously, I, for one, am not falling for that again. Other than that, um, after the All-Star break, Norman Powell's productivity declined or started declining to the point where, okay, post All Star, the people that we were leaning more, of course, at the beginning, yes, absolutely, Norm and Bam, but also Wiggins, Bam, and then Larson starts to shine more and more and more. Jaime Jaquez continues making that, and that particular push after the All Star made it clear that Jaime Jaquez could have been our sixth man of the year were it not for our campaign. And then Hero comes back, Norms goes out, things start to get flimsy again with the rotations. But I think that the basic thing that happens and that Raf is talking about and that Five Sports are talking about is that we did go 0-13 against teams that are above us. Uh, of course, not all of them. Not we won the series against the Pistons, but we were swept by the Celtics. We were swept by Toronto. Um, we have some issues against Atlanta with or without Trey Murphy, who, by the way, again, right, we played a game against the Wizards yesterday. It was the lowest interest of pretty much any fan, not just because there's nothing to do after losing two against the Raptors, which was, which were pivotal games. But again, we didn't lose the game, the season in those two games, right? We lost the season when we went on an amazing losing streak, not just once, but a couple of times. We are 4-10 or 5-10, I think, right? 4-10 or 5-10 since basically, us playing the way, since the 83 points from Bam Adebayo, which was definitely not just a highlight of the season, but a highlight of many seasons. Nobody is going to forget those 83 points. I particularly wasn't watching it live because I had a guest that picked her from the airport, didn't think the Wizards game was going to be important. I was wrong. And Bam Adebayo did pretty well yesterday against, again, a very poor team. A team that I think is probably the best in the entire world at tanking. And that is something, again, Miami Heat should be rewarded for not tanking. That will maybe comes in the form of a draft. That maybe comes in a form of a sympathetic trade. We don't know. But it was a very difficult season to watch. Not entirely, but very difficult to watch. I think that we had a few good takeaways from it, not just bad things, but a few good takeaways. Number one, Khalil Weir could indeed be a piece in a trade. I think his value did not tank, and in a way should be if you want, but I think we have Spo to thank for that, for not playing him more because he gets more and more exposed against good defenses. And he gets more and more exposed defensively against good offenses. Yes, he's going to shine against the Wizards. He's going to shine against the Hornets, perhaps. But there are certain matchups that just don't work for him. Statistically speaking, I can see the plus and minus in all the discussion, and I'm kind of just going to throw it philosophically out there because they say that Bam. I see John Jablonka specifically talking a lot about Bam and Ware together on the court. Whenever Ware was in, we were lower in offensive rating, lower in defensive rating. But the truth is that those were mostly winning games, and I can see a lot of opportunities to have made that person grow. But I think that would have perhaps been the case if we had a plan, or if he fit that plan for the future. But rather we see that okay, he can be a coin in transfer. We do not want to trade Jaime Jaquez, Pelle Larson, and Kasparas Jonas. Those are the three players that you do not want to trade. If you need to trade them for a superstar, in a blink of an eye, there's no one untradeable Not even Bam. It all depends on how things kind of fit. But yes, if I had to choose, Bam is the one who is untouchable. Hero, mainly because of lack of availability, has shown us that he is just unfortunately not. I mean, look, he's a very, very good option as maybe perhaps a number three to generate offense. Perhaps is a great six man to generate offense. Maybe he's going to prove me wrong, but time has gone by enough time to see that Hero is a really special offensive player, but a really poor defensive player and a real liability when you have only a couple of players who can cover an entire floor. So my takeaway is that we did see the development of Kaz, the growth of Larson, the growth of Jaime Jaquez after a slump year. And of course, we unfortunately also saw the demise or the terrible contract again exposing itself with Jovic, who is very young and has all of the qualities to turn it around. But I didn't like his body language, the way he spoke about the organization in general, the way he spoke about, oh, but the boss doesn't put me in a specific role. Well, whenever you had the shots, you didn't make them. Whenever you had the ability, you didn't make them. So not running plays a lot, which is the fluidity of the fast pace, is not the problem, my man. I mean, the problem is a decrease in productivity, something you have to work on yourself. And it seems like I'm talking to Jovic right now. Jovic doesn't give a C, but the truth is, you got to work for that contract, or hopefully, just don't become a liability, so we can trade that contract or use that contract in order to get us more players. There's definitely time for a retooling, whether it's an entire blow up or rebuild, doesn't really matter. Fans, myself, are expecting big things. Sorry, are expecting changes. Big things are impossible to expect, but are expecting changes for next season. And this is where I'll kind of leave you, right? We are expecting changes. Everybody wants to see something different. I myself don't care if we make it to the finals with this team. This team does not have the ability or the talent to do it. If that happens because of a fluke of situations in which probably could be investigated to steroids, drug use, or because everybody in everyone else's team is injured, just like the Celtics got their championship last, then it's still it's a terrible team. Who I want back from this team, other than those three that I mentioned, Bam Adebayo, of course. So we have four, right? We have the young ones, as far as Zikuchonis, obviously Pele Larson, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Bam Adebayo. I do not want Hero extended, so he can come back for one more year. If that's the case, he can come back or he can be traded. But he can come back or he can be traded. No extension offered. Norman Powell, bye-bye, please. Andrew Wiggins, bye-bye. I mean, look, great scorer, but again, the value of the player versus what he can contribute is a lot. And I pretty much think that's it. Some people want Davion Mitchell to come back. Not sure about it. Not sure about that. Not sure about what kind of point guards we can have, and not sure that I want Davion Mitchell to be necessarily even a backup PG. Yes, we have to improve that part. We have to improve a lot of things, really, in our team. To improve pretty much everything. We need a real center or power forward. We need a real backup centers because one of the things that actually did get us is that we weren't playing backup bigs enough. We need to get rid of everybody else who's kind of been doing whatever they do. Fontecchio, God bless his heart, but I don't want him back in the team. And finally, since they basically say 4 or 5 names, maybe won't back the rest of them. I don't want them. I want them gone. I want them to be used in a real rebuild. I don't want to see the same faces again, other than the faces that actually made a real difference. And I know Wiggins did make a difference, but again, it's value versus what we can get out of the player. And if sign and trade, perhaps. Jimmy Butler, the ghost that always lingers. Yes, not having a solid number one option is always going to be a problem for us, not only in the regular season, which, by the way, we were in the play-in with Jimmy Butler. We were in the play-in last season is as a 10th seed. So this is, I think, the first time without Jimmy Butler that we wouldn't have made the cut. Because other times we were 7th, right? Or once we were 8th, not mistaken. But again, we wouldn't have not made a cut. We wouldn't have made a cut this year because of the play-in. We make the cut in a way or another. We have a pre-postseason game, right? And last season we wouldn't have made the cut because of the Jimmy Butler saga. So with Jimmy Butler, we always made the cut, and our playoff runs were always significant, whether it's getting to the NBA Finals or getting all the way to the conference finals, which we did three times. What, three out of his 6 years in the Heat, we went to the conference finals. So obviously, having a number one option is important. However, Jimmy Butler was no longer a number one option. And because of his inability to stay healthy right now, I hope he recovers soon, but very bad injury that he suffered this season that would have crippled us completely if our system depended on him. Um, Jimmy Butler is out because of his injuries, because of his age, which is the exact reason why we didn't want to resign him, or why the front office didn't want to resign him. They want to offer him and pay him a large amount of money in an extension to be with the team, because he would have just sucked that ability again, right? To get a real superstar in our team, which again, we are hoping to get for next season. This is it. This is my review. I'm not saying I'm not going to record any more videos, but this is it. This is my review. This is what I think about Miami Heat in general. Definitely a season to forget, but it doesn't mean we're not going to come back next season to watch. It doesn't mean we're not going to be rooting for the Heat, even those that won the Heat, to lose in the play-in. I'm sure that if they win, they're going to say on inside, it's natural for a fan to want the team to win. That's just the reality of it. But don't worry, folks. I don't think we have to root against the Miami Heat this season. What does suck is that we have a whole bunch of months between now and anything relevant in my world of sports. I used to have soccer. Soccer died when my son was born and the pandemic began. Unfortunately. Now, what I'd like to watch, I'm going to have to wait until next month. But not yet, fans. Not yet. Stay safe, stay dry, stay as happy as possible in this very complicated world of ours. Let's go Heat.